Letting go of the 3D triggers is how you get your SP to come in. It's all about shifting your focus from the 3D and the circumstances onto the new story, and that's what I'm highlighting in today's video. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. We are talking about the SP topic today and how not reacting is going to really propel your manifestation forward. So the best practice of how to do this, my advice, all the tips and easy ways that you can kind of improve and level up your daily manifestation routine, because trust me, I don't complicate things. If you guys have been watching my videos, you know I like to keep it as simple and concise as possible, which is what I kind of pride myself on as a coach, and I have had feedback on that. So I think this is going to be a really helpful, reassuring video. So welcome if you're new. Please do consider thumbsing up the video, subscribing, turning on the notification bell. It takes a couple seconds to do those things, and you'll let YouTube know that you want to see more of my content. And if there's the hype button below the video and you enjoyed it, then maybe consider clicking that as well. But I'm going to pop a couple things on screen as always, just a refresh, or for anyone who's new here, about my coaching offers. If I update anything recently or start to, change things and revamp things on my website, I was trying to speak too quickly there, then obviously that will be included in this intro as well in my upcoming videos. So yeah, stay tuned to hear all about that. But all my special offers and discounts are available. You can become a monthly member as well. But yeah, now let's just start the video. Your SP doesn't need convincing, they need consistency. So in order to get to the end result that you want, the positive, happy relationship and dynamic that you want and deserve, you need to be consistent. So it's about consistently not reacting to the 3D, being on top of your affirmations and just the positive mindset, even if it's just a little bit of repetition or a little bit of a mental diet, whatever's needed and works for you, for your individual manifestation where you're at, you do need to at least apply consistency. It's probably not going to change around or at least be permanent within a day. So that's where the consistency kicks in. So on that point as well, the first part of that phrase is also important, that you don't need to convince your SP. You don't need to say certain things, act a certain way, dress a certain way, be yourself, be natural. I always highlight that in my advice about what to do with, your SP, how to handle those situations, because I know it can be really, really stressful, even just dating in general, like the anxiety tied with that and like first dates, I can only imagine it's amplified with an SP. So just be your natural self. You don't need to overthink anything. So following on from that, regarding self-concept and feeling confident and assured and self-assured, in the context of your manifestation, self-concept in regards to feeling chosen, feeling valued, prioritized, and by your SP in this relationship, in the context of you dating and just your beliefs around relationships in general. That is the version that SP is going to respond to. If you can hold that state, stay focused on it, and like I said, apply the consistency to that, then that is the version of you that your SP will treat you as. They will speak to you and behave as if you already are, and you will be becoming and blossoming into that version that is chosen and believes, of course I would be chosen, of course I'd be prioritized, of course someone that I'm interested in or that I'm dating or maybe exploring a relationship with would value me. If you start to believe that and assume that, and you focus on being that version in your future reality where you already are with your SP, obviously you would feel that way, and you embody that now, that's how your SP is going to show up as. So if you do continue reacting to the 3D or holding on to a past disappointment, for example, then your mind will probably keep replaying those moments, replaying that memory. And obviously it will, at that point, maybe it already is, and that's okay, become an assumption and a belief. It'll be a dominant, instinctive reaction and thought about your current reality. And it does shape the wider context of dating, not just your relationship with your specific person, but your mind will bring up those memories, those thoughts, those reactions, assumptions such as I'm always second choice, or SP doesn't prioritize communicating with me, whatever assumption it may be. Your mind might keep replaying the root of those thoughts. So that kind of back and forth, whether it's in actual conversation with your SP or just you kind of battling against those thoughts in your conscious mind, it's going to be exhausting. That's why you need to focus on and just be self-aware of when you react to the 3D and understanding and knowing, okay, I'm going to push back. I am going to, take the conscious effort and willpower to flip that back around, to stop reacting, to stop this continuous pattern where something happens, I get triggered, I spiral, or I should say don't know why I put that in first person, but yeah, when you get triggered or you spiral and then you think that it's objective, and it just naturally and subconsciously, literally, feeds into your assumptions and beliefs. So you don't want that constant back and forth and that cycle to be created or maintained. You can break it at any moment. You can start breaking it at any moment. It might not be visible initially, instantly, but the work you're putting in and the consistency and, catching yourself in the moment of reacting, that all builds up into an end result. If you don't have a patient mindset and you're currently feeling obviously impatient, that state of lack, then that's even more reason and possibly a root of maybe you're frustrated, or you're just like frustrated and feel like you've been waiting a really long time. That kind of mindset is going to make you react more to the 3D. And if you haven't been feeling patient and confident in the end result, then that is a reason that you have to be on top of your mental diet, I guess, because that would be the approach to, when you react to the 3D, and being like, this is a habit I'm going to break. I'm going to stop getting triggered every time I see something on social media, someone says something, another day passes. You need to try to get on top of that. And obviously you don't want to then analyze your current circumstances or think to yourself or allow doubtful logical thoughts, even if they're logical, to tell you, why it's not possible, why it seems impossible to you, for your reality, for you as an individual. But ask yourself, if other people have my end result, if other people have what I'm trying to create for myself, how is it impossible? How is it not realistic for me? Someone else has it. What would be stopping me from being able to have this? So there is no objective answer to that. So you want to make sure that you're not continuing that pattern of analyzing circumstances, constantly being triggered, on edge, letting other, external factors dictate for you where you're at. Whatever you repetitively hold on to, your dominant focus, whatever you visualize, even if it's just like a daydream or an image that pops up in your mind, and it's repetitive, it's your focus, positive or negative, that's what your SP is going to respond to. So as I said, building on and trying to be more loving and confident and uplifting with yourself to develop your self-concept, the same way your SP will reflect that back to you. You also want to visualize, focus on, tell yourself, this is the new reality, the end result, whether it's a date, a relationship, getting back together, whatever it may be that you're creating with your specific person. You're focusing on that, you're repeating that. That is your dominant focus. And when I say that, I don't mean like 50 million thoughts a day. It can be just 10 thoughts a day. If you have like a really busy day and you don't really think about SP, that's one example. So it doesn't need to be overwhelming, but you do need to be on top of that, just self-aware, because they are going to reflect back to you where that dominant focus is. Not reacting is the end goal. It may not be perfect or ever, and that's completely fine. It's not about trying to achieve perfection or monitoring yourself and making it difficult or unenjoyable. That's what I want to stress with this point. But it is a key element because you want to at least work towards that and minimize it, because it will come together if you put in the consistency and repetition. It kind of naturally is just like an after effect of that regardless. So you don't need to put that much effort in, but it does take self-awareness and initially kind of a routine and, putting in the effort consciously to apply your mental diet, flip thoughts around. So it is quite a key element if you're manifesting your SP, if there have been bad circumstances and you're not currently consciously thinking thoughts, with some repetition of already being with your specific person. So if you're doing all of this and you are, of course, shifting your own mindset, even if it is just a small step by step every day, then your SP is reflecting that. They are conforming. So it's a natural conforming process. Again, as you guys probably know, you don't control the how. You let it unfold as it's going to, and you just focus on that end result as if it's here, not questioning the million ways in which your manifestation can come together. Trusting and knowing that it will, because you're persisting and your own mindset is conforming. So you will get to that point of being confident, not being as reactive, but initially it is going to take work. You're not just going to wake up and suddenly, your entire mindset has just shifted because you've just slept overnight and woken up the next morning. It doesn't come about on its own in that way. There has to be some kind of shift happening internally. But the good thing is that based on your own mindset, the work you've been putting in, what you see in yourself, and I have other videos highlighting examples of, signs to know that things are conforming. So I'm not going to delve really deep into that because there's so many different examples I could give, but you will know internally, like your own internal conforming, even if nothing in the 3D reality looks different to you. By that, you will know that your 3D, your relationship with SP, it is coming together, it is conforming. And one of those signs or factors will definitely be, oh, I'm not as reactive, I feel calmer, oh, I saw this thing on social media and my mind went to a positive assumption this time. So if you have been persisting, but it's been very up and down and turbulent and you don't really feel confident in your manifestation, then that's even more important for you to implement not being reactive to the 3D, disengaging, being able to apply your mental diet. So just remember that circumstances are irrelevant. So it doesn't matter what's going on. That is not objective. That is not a reason to spiral or say, but Alexa, it is impossible. This is happening and surely other people aren't going through such bad circumstances or whatever it may be. That they are irrelevant. It doesn't matter. It's all a starting point. What you want to do is focus on that end goal. That's what matters. What can you imagine of that? What do you truly want out of that? So obviously it goes without saying that you will just not be as reactive when you get really focused, ignoring your 3D or kind of, there's more to say on that. That's kind of like a shortened phrase that doesn't quite explain what it means to ignore the 3D, but that's how I'll just phrase it for the sake of time, that when you ignore your 3D, you don't get as reactive, you don't spiral, you're not constantly on edge or reacting from a state of needing reassurance or validation, then whatever shows up in the 3D, you're not going to analyze, dig deep into what you might presume is a mixed signal or a step back or something kind of very ambiguous. That's not going to impact you in the same way. You're going to feel much more self-assured. But again, you do that through practice, through teaching yourself and trying your best to be self-aware and say, I'm not going to spiral. These are the reasons why. This is why I don't need to spiral about this. Everything's okay. And all of this is going to affect your nervous system as well, and your emotional responses will be calmer as well. So you won't even have that inclination to spiral. It's all this really great cycle and domino effect of, when you put in one new positive practice, it does impact multiple areas of your mindset, your reactions, your emotional state, just your manifestations in general. Of course, you're going to start trusting what's happening. You're going to trust more in that end result that it is coming together. And you are very likely to increase or prevent any slowing down of movement because you're not really interfering or analyzing or halting the process because you have to stop and analyze something in your 3D reality. So your SP is reflecting that too. Remember, they are conforming at the same time as you, and the movement will come in whatever shape or form. I can't dictate for everyone exactly what that is, but you're not interfering anymore. So it's more smooth sailing. You'll also find that you stop really needing that proof because your internal state and your inner story to yourself is more stabilized, it's more complete. So you won't be seeking or needing validation or proof. So whatever's going on out there, you're probably not even looking for it. So even if there was something possibly negative, you're not even at that point of spiraling anymore. It's from this state and from this type of practice and positive mindset that movement, communication, commitment, all of that starts to unfold. And I think I'm going to leave this video here. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you did, please do thumbs up, subscribe, turn on that notification bell, and I will see you next time.